Hello, I'm Mark Paris, and I'm here today with Gena Robinson, Director of Moore Place.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So here we are in Moore Place. What is Moore Place?
So Moore Place is a permanent supportive housing program. We're 120 units, very true apartment complex, little untraditional, but we house chronically homeless.
And you mentioned the phrase permanent supportive housing. What does that mean?
Yes, so permanent supportive housing is a process of housing folks that have been chronically homeless. When we say chronically homeless, we do mean homeless for years, at least over a year. Most of ours, that's averaging anywhere from 10, 15, 20 years on the street, woods. But you also have a disabling factor. There's severe mental illness, there could be a medical piece, or it could be substance use. Majority of Moore Place with this type of single site housing, it's severely mentally ill or severe substance use. We're not an assisted living facility. We're not a shelter. So it takes a while when a tour for that to kind of sink in for folks that, wow, like this is theirs. They sign a lease. It is 100% theirs.
What happens here at Moore Place?
Life. I love it. It is, so we're considered single site. So we have our apartments. They sign a lease, they live here, we try to improve the quality of their life. But on the other side, we have our support wing that has case managers. We're the landlord, so we get to be very flexible. So we're teaching them to be responsible for the home. But that could be anywhere from paying rent to cooking to you now have a primary care, you have psychiatrist, you want to connect with maybe a daughter, a son, your mom, your dad. You want to cook Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, it is wide variety. It is anything they want to do to improve. We want them to be safe, but it is a wide variety of stuff.
So Gena, this seems like a really distinctive solution to the housing issue.
Mm-hmm.
How is this possible?
So with Housing First, everybody deserves a roof over their head. You don't have to jump through hoops to get it. You don't have to complete a process, a treatment program. You don't even have to take certain medications to do it. And you have that need met, you feel secure, you feel safe, then we can work on what you want to do, improving that life, improving the goal. Why would it not work? Being on the street and in the woods in survival mode, physically, mentally, is just taxing. If you think about myself, that if I did not have the needs that I need, I have no idea how it would be where I am. And giving that, everybody wants to feel like they have their needs met, that they have somewhere safe, don't have to constantly look over their back. I've constantly heard that even having medications, I can't keep my meds on the street. I have to have a drawer to put them in. It's not that I don't want to take them. So I think that piece is forgotten a lot of times, that it's so simple. I know it, money and there's a lot of logistics to it, but having a home, it's required. It's a need. Why would it ever be questioned?
And who gets to live in Moore Place?
So we have a process that's called coordinated entry, and that's through Mecklenburg County. So it's everybody, they go through an assessment process, and it basically gauges how vulnerable are you, how likely are you to die on the street. And that's the hard fact of your mental illness, your medical disorders, substance use. The most vulnerable tend to get referred here, but really it's their choice. They may not want to live at Moore Place. They could go through another apartment with different vouchers, different permanent supportive housing programs. But single site is unique because we get to be a part of the landlord. We can be flexible and keep folks housed. You don't pay your rent one month, we're gonna be creative and figure out an intervention. The goal is to keep you here. Maybe you mismanaged your money. I've heard Christmas. I have 10 nephews. I mismanaged my money. I'm not gonna go evict you. I'm not gonna exit you from our program. We're gonna sit down and talk because you haven't paid rent for 20 years or maybe ever. I don't have the assumption that you walk through this door and you know exactly everything's needed. I don't even always know everything needed, and I keep that in the forefront, that it's a process and we have to be very creative. And knowing that we get those that are so vulnerable. We're going to do whatever we can to keep them here.
How much is rent?
It is 30% of their income. So most folks are on disability, and so it's 30% of SSI. There are a couple that have employment. If you work, you do submit your paychecks, and we do an average of basically that income, and it's still 30%.
And of the 120 people living here, how many people are actually paying rent consistently?
We have, out of 120, possibly 27, 28 that do not have income. So everyone else, majority, have income and are paying rent.
And among all the people who are here, how long can they stay?
Forever. It is permanent. There are some that we've had that have bought a house and moved out. We've had some that have reconnected with family and maybe they want to live with their mom, or maybe there's a relationship so two people want to live, because we are single occupancy. Two people can't live in an apartment. But if this is their home forever, that's their choice.
Gena, how is all this subsidized?
Through different avenues. So we do work with Livy and our housing authority. So we have vouchers that are project-based. We have COC grants. We have NCHFA grants. And then there's rent. We have an awesome philanthropy team that raises money. So there's different pockets of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many of the people who are listening to this live in communities outside Charlotte, but they're interested in this model. What would you tell them as the first steps that they could take to begin to explore a solution for this for themselves?
That's actually a very common question. I've done Zoom calls with other towns, cities that are doing permanent supportive housing. We have people that come and tour. If you can get the community to back it and get it, there needs to be more. There needs to be more single site, not just permanent supportive housing. I encourage them to, reach out. We're putting together like a step-by-step process to share. But I've worked with a lot of other agencies that we share thoughts and ideas of what we do, how we make it work, because I consider us very much successful in what we do.
Gena, you've been the director here at More Place for 3 years. What do you know now that you didn't know 3 years ago in this role as director?
I think I've worked with this population for a very long time. I think the key is single site. I think the key is housing first and harm reduction in the true sense of really believing it and understanding it, because you have to be creative in your interventions, meeting people where they are. I think that's what makes it successful. I'm not trying to put my goals on somebody else. I may know what somebody diagnosed with schizophrenia may need to do, but they're not there yet. And if I push them to do what I think is right, it's not going to work. We're going to push each other away. But I give you a safe place to do that, to work through how you can be a better you and do what you want to do and stay safe. I think that is the key.
What do you mean by harm reduction?
Harm reduction is, it's the concept of keeping people safe. People are going to use substances, and you can actually use harm reduction in many different ways. It doesn't have to be just substance use. It could be sexual relations, anything. You want to educate people to, if you're going to do it, let's do it safe, and let's do it in a way that it costs the least harm to you. Take away some of the negative consequences. Most commonly, people hear about needle exchanges and stuff, but it goes way past that. I think having a payee can be a harm reduction. Your rent gets paid, your bills get paid, and then you may have an allowance to where that's what you use towards your substance of choice. You don't have the negative consequence of losing your housing. It could be, following up with medical care. Harm reduction can be so much more than just needle exchange, and it is about people using safely. But the idea is that you're there to support them. You take out the stigma. You take out everything that's negative, that kind of, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm not here to judge you. I hear you. I support you. Whatever we can do to keep you in the direction you want to go, because ultimately, if I can keep you alive, I can work with you. And that's I think the reality of it.
So how extensive is your staff serving 120 residents?
We have 12 staff members.
Okay. Gena, is More Place working? It seems to be a terrific model. You guys are doing great work. What are the results?
I think, yes, we have good results. We're very successful. And we measure that by people are housed and they are living in a home. When you get into like statistics, I mean, we're reducing emergency room visits, 911 calls. So it's beneficial to the community, and it's getting them the resources that they need and not misusing other resources.
As director, what keeps you up at night?
I feel very close to a lot of people that live here. I get to work in their home. I want them safe, so I worry about a lot of things that maybe they have shared with me. I've had an individual that shared before I came in here, and he had tears in his eyes, and I feel for him. I want safety and health, and I'm not magical. I think that's what. I think by nature I'm a fixer, and I want to fix everything. But I also have a clinical background, and that's not reality. They're very much like family, and I have genuine concerns as anybody else does for any of their family. Sometimes I worry, how in the world do we get more apartments? Because I know there's other people that need to live here. And if I have every apartment filled, where did they go? What are they doing? So.
What do you need that you don't have?
More apartments? Yeah. I think we're in the process of renovating a hotel to have more apartments, but others, roof above is huge, and we have a huge continuum of the homelessness population, but it is so hard. We have a scattered site program where that's the same as More Place, but it's going out into the community, and you're working with other landlords, and you can't be as creative to keep people successful and housed. This type of model, single site specifically, I think is what's beneficial. It's being able to truly do housing first and actually harm reduction techniques.
Gena, what do you want that you don't have here at More Place?
I think if I could add something else, along with the program, the property would be peer support. Peer support, I think, is a great model. Having peer support specialists, it's a lot of the folks that come here, we're their family, which is great, and it goes equally. But having that peer support with somebody who's actually been through what that person's been through, I could never speak that. I have empathy and I hear you, but I can't say I've been through that specifically. And I think that goes so far. And I think everybody, they deserve those connections and those relationships. And peer support is a great avenue to do that. We work with great agencies and have peer supports for some, but to have our own here that's a wish.
When you hire people to join the team here at More Place, what do you look for?
I look for passion and heart. I think education, experience, yes, absolutely. But past that, there are certain things you cannot teach. To go into somebody's apartment, to say, hey, let's make a sandwich together, or, your kitchen, and, as the dishes are sitting in the sink, or maybe there's, something spilled on the counter, like, hey, I have some cleaning products, and kind of being that model to show. A lot of people are not comfortable doing that. They want to sit down, and I think there's different avenues of therapy and ways that we can help in case management. But I think to be creative and think outside the box, it's because you have a heart and a passion for this population, and because we're willing to do what it takes to help people be successful.
And what questions do you ask to kind of uncover that heart and passion with people that you talk with?
Sometimes you can tell by how many years they've been in the field, because you can get burned out really quickly. So I think sometimes that's a telltale sign. But when you hear somebody talk about, we'll ask about experiences with, what do you do when somebody comes in your office and they're intoxicated? Or what if somebody diagnosed with a severe mental illness comes and sits in your office, or y'all are in the car together and they start talking about delusional content? How do you respond to that? If your response is call 911, it probably isn't going to work. But if your response is that I hear them and I'm talking to them, I'm making sure that they're okay and that they're safe, because just because they're under the influence intoxicated doesn't mean they can't talk, because maybe they drank a few beers to get help with withdrawal. But for them, that's not a severe intoxication. They're still human.
Gena, why do you do this work?
I get asked that quite often. I like by nature to help folks. I enjoy the population. It sounds so cliche to say I have the passion and the heart that sometimes I ask myself, how am I not burned out? With COVID and everything this past year and a half, going. I think knowing that the people that we help, the successes, seeing people come down and smile and decorate their apartment and, they achieve something that is just monumental to them, makes up for everything. I cannot imagine or see myself not doing something like this. I've been in this field for a very long time, but absolutely love being at More Place and within Roof Above, being able to be creative and help, and genuinely help and not held by anything. I keep coming back. Yeah.
What keeps you going?
The people. Yeah. The tenants here. And honestly, even staff within Roof Above. We work together. We have good connections. We use each other. We support each other. We bounce ideas off each other. It's challenging pieces. It's knowing that we're doing the right thing, and that we're nailing it.
So Gena, when you meet other people who are interested in what you are doing or want to do what you are doing, what do you say to them?
It is tough. It is challenging. It is absolutely rewarding in different ways.
What's tough and challenging about it?
Sometimes I think maybe as human beings, we do things and you can see the reward. You see, like, it's very evident, oh, that was successful. That was a win. Kudos to me. I don't think in this particular field, particularly working with this population, that it's always that clear. But knowing that everything makes a difference. I think that's the part that's challenging, is that you don't get immediate gratification, but I know it works. I know there's benefits. I see it in different ways. And maybe it's, seeing somebody laugh and smile. It's not somebody always saying thank you and, oh, I achieved this, or I went and did this. It's different ways that it's shown. And sometimes that can be, there can be days that I'm like, anything I said or anything I've done, is it really working? Like, am I doing the right thing? I've questioned that, sometimes in rough times. And then it's like, just because it sinks in, there's that seed planted, it comes out in another way. And then I'm very much reminded that, yeah, I mean, it's non-traditional maybe, but it does work. There is benefits. People are safe and people are housed and people are happy. But there's not that immediate gratification. I think that's what makes it challenging. And I think working with mental illness and substance use and, people on a next to nothing income, everything, finding resources, all of that can be challenging and taxing. Our system can sometimes be hard to navigate to get services. If somebody's non-compliant with medications and appointments, but you're trying to get them to see the doctor, but that day they aren't feeling it for whatever reason, then that doctor's office, it's, 2 visits of no-shows and we're done. Well, who else do I go to? Who else will take Medicaid? And all of that can be very challenging.
What's the reward for you?
I think the conversations, I think the good morning, hey, Miss G, that kind of stuff. And I have tenants that ask me about my kids. I have 2 little boys. They ask about my husband. They have a genuine interest in who I am because I have a genuine interest in them. We're no different. I ask them how they're doing. They ask me. I think having those relationships, that is more than anything.
Gena, if there's a secret to More Place, what is that secret?
I think the secret is people and creativity. You have to be creative in your interventions to make it work. Yeah.
So good people, creativity.
Yes,
Great.
Absolutely.
If you were to design More Place all over again, knowing what you know now, how might it be different?
I think More Place was originally 85 units. I was not here at that time, but I think that number is what we aim for. I think most importantly is the case management ratio with the clients. Right now, we're around the ratio of 23 clients per case manager. We're single site, so it may seem like that's okay because everybody's here, but you're taking people to the doctor's appointment, and to spend dedicated time with somebody who has high needs and extremely vulnerable I would like lower caseloads. So either we take away apartments or either we add case managers. Of course, let's go with add case managers. So, yeah.
Gena, is there a particular story that stays with you, that sustains you?
Yes, and it happened early coming to More Place. We had a tenant that lived on the 2nd floor with mental illness and clogging drains to kind of get spirits to go away. And after 2 or 3 floods, and it goes through the apartment, to the conference room, and that's a lot of damage. There's discussion of, how do we keep them safe and everybody else safe? Do we keep repairing the damage? And, what's the outcome? Being creative and move them to the 1st floor. We have an apartment vacant. Let's do it. That flood would be, there's nothing underneath you. We would catch it much sooner. He has not clogged a drain the past 2 years. So that was pretty awesome.
That's great. Gena, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah.